Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing the little mini-series I've been doing of ranking every episode of Buffy, and today we are focusing on Season 5. If you didn't see the last episode, me and my friend Amy ranked Season 4, if you like a little bit of friendly random banter of stuff and whatnot, maybe go and visit that video and give it a like and a comment. Yes, I'll have a playlist on my channel of all the Buffy ranking, like the Buffyverse rankings that I'm doing, because I am also planning to do Angel. We'll jump right into it. So the ones we've got at the top are Becoming Part 2, School Hard, I want to say Innocence, they're kind of hard to read at this point, and then Graduation Day Part 2. The ones right at the bottom in Worse Than Riley, we have Where the Wild Things Are, Dead Man's Party, and Killed by Death. Yeah, I am just going to tweak this because I have been thinking off camera, like, yes, I don't like all three of these, but in the gradient ranking scale, I would probably say Where the Wild Things Are is completely, I really just don't get. Dead Man's Party I'm going to put there because I don't like how her friends, like, have a go at her, basically, and I'm sure we're going to revisit that issue in Season 7. So we have, and then Killed by Death, as much as it scared me as a kid, it is probably still quite a good episode, and obviously I am watching a horror themed show, so it's doing well at what it's meant to be doing. It just scared me as a kid. Right, so jumping into Season 5, we have Buffy versus Dracula. So this is what it says on the title. Dracula comes to town. Dracula comes to town. Xander becomes like the little servant-y, like mind like controlled guy. Anya has like a history with him. I think Dracula owes Spike money. So I think it is a good episode, and for a one-off little random thing, I think if this was in earlier seasons, it would have ended up being very particularly cheesy. So I do think it's going to end up in Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time. It's like, its pros are also its cons. Like, it is really cheesy, but then that is kind of like, it feels oddly placed, but yet still kind of works within the universe, which I think is like the joys of Buffy. Some stuff just shouldn't really work, and it really does. So, where will I put this? Potentially around here. Oh, it's going to get so much harder now that I've got like more in this like tier list. Kind of like in the middle bit of Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time. It's just after Halloween, because I do really enjoy that episode in Season 2. Right, jumping on to the next episode, we have Real Me. So this one, I just thought, should I just go with the fact that Dawn's been there all along, like play with it a little bit, but I don't think I'm that good of an actress to do that. Dawn is introduced, which is obviously a very massive curveball in the series because she wasn't there all along and the characters are acting like she is. And this entire episode is kind of from like her perspective a little bit, so you're kind of learning the character of Dawn, which I think was a very smart thing to do early on because it was such a out of context, a random thing to do, so you kind of need to bond with this character quickly, basically, as much as we can do to obviously root for Buffy and Buffy's motivations for the rest of the series. So I do think this episode's really good. So you get to see a bit of like backstory and dynamics. So Dawn like has a crush on Xander. She's quite close. Like she starts building a bit more closeness with Tara and like a nice little mini scene. They tend to shelter her from like the big bad stuff that goes on around her. Which is funny because say she's 15, like obviously that's literally like the age Buffy is pretty much in Season 1. But I feel like Dawn is treated a lot more younger than what Buffy was obviously like a lot more mature. To say that they were very similar ages, Season 1 Buffy and Dawn now, they seem wildly apart. I think it is a good episode. I think a lot of Season 5, I'd be very surprised if a lot end up on the bottom half of the tier. I think it's gonna go probably around here, I think. Like, it's not like... It's just because it's weird because, like, Season 5, I feel like it's hard for me to separate out the episodes because it's just such a seamless story. Barring the Riley stuff, but we'll get into that. And I think it's kind of I'm going to be loving on season 5 quite a lot. It's kind of hard to separate out, because I think it even like fits a little bit with the jarringness of like Dracula in that episode. Like, obviously there's the cliffhanger at the end and all this stuff. The Replacement. So this one is where there is a demon that goes after Buffy, and he's trying to basically separate Buffy into normal girl Buffy and then the vampire Slayer of Buffy, with the plan of kill the normal girl, it kills then the Slayer. But by accident, they end up hitting Xander, so Xander's split into 2 parts, and it's a very good at like exploring Xander's character and his insecurities a little bit. He plays the Joker, and he's not very much. He didn't go to university, so he's not like growing up at the same rate as them. But then he starts giving himself credit. He starts doing well. Or the separated out other Xander is getting told that he's going to get promoted at work and stuff. And our Xander thinks obviously like he's doing mind control. It's a demon, and you actually find out it's a separation of Xander, both qualities he had. And I do think that's a really fun way of doing that story. Like, there's a lot of people that have similar insecurities and like downplay their own abilities, not giving themselves full credit that they can actually achieve this stuff. But I actually think it's one of the... He's always meant to be like the everyman, the relatable one, I guess, is how Joss Whedon kind of tries to present him. I know he's a bit questionable at times, his behaviour, but I think in this episode it is really well written, and I think it starts setting him on a certain path to kind of his path to redemption, and he starts growing up a bit more, so he becomes a lot more enjoyable, I think, as a character around, just because he kind of just starts growing up and matching the rest of the group that are also growing up. Also, a little cool bit of trivia that I'm pretty sure most people do already know, but they didn't have to use any CGI for this or any like body doubles, because Brendan... I'm going to say Brendan Harrison, but that's not his name. Xander. Oh god, it's 2 minutes in, I'm already having to Google something. Nicholas Brendan. So I knew Brendan was in there. Nicholas Brendan has a identical twin, and they used him. So I thought that was a nice little like way of utilising his brother. So again, I think Don't Start Me With a Good Time. I think it's going to go higher up. It's going to be quite controversial for a Xander episode. I'm putting high up. I'm debating whether it goes in Great Teller. I think all of season 5 would just be Great Teller. Right, I've put it in Don't Threaten Me With a Good Time, shock. And it's just behind Earshot and just before The Initiative. Out of My Mind. Well, I think, because I know it's kind of like wrapping up, I can't fully remember this that much, but I'm guessing that's because I probably skipped it quite a lot, just because there's so much good stuff in season 5. I'm like, get me to the good stuff. And I'm pretty sure like Riley's got a chip that's making him ill. I think also Spike wants his chip out to go after Buffy, I think, because he finds out that there's a doctor going to help Riley. It's all kind of like wrapping up like stuff from the season before, and I think the main redeeming bits will be one that it's kind of like trying to wrap up that season, and Spike basically, but I don't think it's that. It's all kind of ending up in the same kind of It's probably like the definition of a meh, but okay. Like Spike saves it, he makes it the more okay bit, but the meh is more to do with The Initiative. Again, so no place like home. Buffy actually learns what Dawn is, or like she's a bit supernatural. Like we start learning from an audience perspective that yes, Dawn is not meant to be meant to be there. I think in the episodes like before it, they kind of playing it as just she's always been there, which is a good, like, I'm glad they kind of stuck with it, hammered down on it. But this one is more like, right, Buffy figures it out, and then I think this is the first introduction of Glory. What a character. I really enjoy Glory. Glory is great. She's great because this entire season is all about, it's linking back to Xander's episode about all these different sides of you. And I think obviously they were trying to separate Buffy from like the Slayer and then like the innocent girl, whereas like the entire season 5 is the innocent girl is Dawn, that's Buffy's innocence, and then like the Slayer power is kind of represented in Glory, like that uncontrollable power. So it's all so well entwined in written, like there's a theme, there's a story, there's a motivations. It's all really well done, gone through. And I think the other thing to know is I'm pretty sure they're starting to like sprinkle in the stuff to do with Buffy's mom, and you start learning more about her illness and stuff. Probably about you actually. So it's just after Wild at Heart, which I think I'm going to be messing around with these a little bit now, so I'm just going to move these down because I do think Bad Girls, I enjoy the Faith arc throughout, and even though I think these are strong episodes from season 4 of like Willow's character, I do think as a story arc I prefer Faith's more like that, like anti-hero of like troubled background, and she's trying to make the right decisions but she doesn't quite get there at times. But yeah, and then I'm going to put No Place Like Home just after, I think. This again might move. Okay, family. Okay, I'm quite excited about this one. It's weird when I'm quite excited about it, 'cause as I've got older and older, I appreciate this episode so much more, and I think it just grows on me more and more every time. I love Tara as a character. She's really lovely. She's really sweet. She's just a good person. Just a good person. And the fact that like her family are coming back and they're being like quite controlling and quite like they want to take control over again, and they've got this whole story to keep like this abuse line going, and it's like showing that you don't, just because someone's your family doesn't mean that they're good for you, and you can say no, and you can say no to all this stuff. And I love the end scene, like the climax of the episode where like Buffy and the gang are like, you're gonna have to get through me, and they're all just standing up, and it's like Tara's been anointed into the group. They're like, no, you are one of us, we are gonna fight for you. Anyway, I love that sentiment where they all get behind her and they're like, no, we will stop you taking her. But then I also, in the true Buffy way, I love that when Spike hits her and is like, right, well, you're not a demon then, because her family are trying to trick her and say that she's evil and that she's a demon. If she doesn't go back with them, she'll hurt everyone around her. And he's like, no, there's no demon in you, I can hit you, and it hurts. And then he's like, you're a piece of work, I like you. Just again, Spike just sprinkled in there nice, and just for a bit of comedy, a bit of contrast. But yeah, this is going to be the first one for me that's going to go, just let me scroll all the way up, integrate telly, and probably quite high up. If you had asked me this like 10 years ago, this list could have been not like completely different, but there's definitely some standout episodes that I've grown to appreciate and understand more as I've grown up, and that one is definitely one of them. I really like it. I would be so tempted to even put it into one of the best things ever, which I might do. No, I'll hold off for now. It's definitely the top of Great Telly because I'm debating putting it in best thing ever. A Fool for Love. So this is an episode 7. Episode 7s are quite important within the Buffy universe. They kind of set up a lot more themes of the whole season going forward. And this episode, so Buffy gets stabbed by a vampire with her own stake. So she goes to Spike and is like, look dude, you've killed 2 Slayers, how did you do it? And we get to see flashbacks of them Slayers, which obviously we learn a bit more about the Slayer line, we learn a lot more about Spike, his perspective and storytelling, obviously be a bit of a biased storyteller. And it's also like a sneaky crossover episode with Angel where it lines up with the episode Darla, and we see a lot of Darla's backstory, and then obviously a lot of them scenes will interlink in the vampire days of all 4 of them. I don't think this would happen now, but I'd have loved like a spin-off show of like, or like a little mini telly movie of them 4 vampires, just because they're such individually such interesting characters, and they're probably one of the more standout elements of the entire Buffy universe for me is Darla, Angel, Spike and Drusilla. I think the fact we never got to see them in like modern day, all 4 of them, like I know obviously we got the 3 because we got Drusilla, Spike and Angel for a while, but obviously Darla went around then. I would have loved if she stayed on a little bit longer, but then obviously season 2 would have been quite different because it played on Spike's jealousy and obviously him helping. Oh, that was a random little tangent. But yeah, so it's like a flashback episode. We go into all like that. There's a nice, really well shot scene at the end where it's like him, Spike and Buffy are fighting, and it's like paralleled with him fighting the more modern, like the vampire Slayer from the 80s, I think she's meant to be from. So I think she's meant to be like early 80s, so she'd be, in theory, I think, the Slayer or the Slayer before. I think she's like meant to be 2 Slayers before Buffy, or that one. There's like a Slayer in between her, like the Slayer Spike killed and Buffy, I believe. Because Buffy, yeah, I think there's 2. Something like that. It's very, very, not that far, but like before Buffy were called, basically. So it's a shame that I've got to the point where they're all going in great talent. So would that go? See, the debate between these two is this is such a good one-off episode. I am seeing a theme here, I'm not gonna lie, but it's whether I put that one there or there, because this one's really good from like a story and narrative and like direction. Like the directing of the episode is really well done, and it's just from beginning to end I'm like, ooh, hooked. And this one I'm hooked, but more in a comedy way. So they're 2 very different genres to me, and I'm trying to debate whether that goes there. Alright, I'm gonna just keep them there. They're really just like on par, I think. Right, Shadow. So this one, so obviously I've not really talked about her much, but Glory in the background doing a thing, looking fabulous as ever, and she sends a demon out to basically try and find the key, which is basically what Dawn is. Again, I don't know if I mentioned that, but she is a key. And no one knows other than Buffy, but obviously Glory wants to find the key. Dawn doesn't even know she's the key, so she sends a weird demon snake thing out, I think. Is that one? Yeah, I think she sends a snake thing out to find her, and then they don't. And I think in this episode as well, I think it's more centered around the fact that Joyce, they find a shadow on her scan, I believe, so it's all kind of like in the background bubbling up with the fact that her mom is ill. Not as bothered about this one, again, because there's so much good in it. I don't know if I think I'd put it at the top of meh, but okay. Like, it is a good-ish episode, it's just I can't put all of season 5 like at the top, because, you know, I'd be very heavily biased. I'm trying to judge him against the other episodes, and I'd probably watch choices, whereas I'd probably skipped Shadow a little bit, maybe. Not properly skipped to the extent of these, because I've kind of got, I'd be very shocked if any more skips really end up fully in this, just because at this point I'm kind of hooked and the series kind of really gets into its own. Alright, Listening to Fear, I think. So this one is where I believe Joyce is going for more tests, but there's a demon thing let loose, like an alien thing. It's a very like X-Files thing that goes around basically trying to clean up after it herself of all the crazy people she's creating. This demon goes after them people and basically kills them. It follows Buffy, Joyce and Dawn back from the hospital, and Joyce is going a bit mental with the thing she's got in her head. I think it's like a tumour, I think. So it's gonna basically nearly kill Joyce. I think Buffy ends up killing it, and then Riley, I think, takes it away, or the initiative. There's one scene in this that I mainly remember, because it's been about a year or 2 now since I've watched season 5 again, like properly, and it's Buffy crying at the sink. Those like little moments. I think there was another one in Full for Love where like Spike is like the end of it, he's like, I'm gonna kill her, she's annoyed me and all this stuff. Like he's gonna go and he's got a shotgun and he's gonna do it. But as he comes to the back garden, he sees Buffy on like the step and she's just having a moment to herself and she's feeling very vulnerable, and Spike just sits down with her and he's just there. It's a start. I love these moments. Like, he doesn't have to do anything. He knows. And she doesn't ever turn him away, which I do find quite an interesting thing. I love these moments. These are such like, she lets herself be vulnerable around Spike or just be a person. And I think that's why there's such a draw and a chemistry to these two characters. And I know I've gone back to Full for Love for a minute, but it's because that without saying anything, he knows when she's that upset, people just want to know they're not alone. He's sat with her and he's not saying no. And obviously we see a lot more of that in the first half of season 6. Obviously I know season 6 is a very roller coaster ride with them. Their relationship isn't really, I don't really judge it as much by season 6. Season 5, first half of season 6, and then like season 7 are the main bits I always really think about. I am probably a Spike and Buffy shipper to an extent. I think both relationships of like Angel and Spike had very different things for her, and she was in very different minds. So I do think I lean more towards Spike But I do also agree with the stance they had in the final episode where she didn't choose anyone. I actually appreciated that. Not everyone, like, you can just be happy being you. Listening to Fear, I'm going to put it probably in meh, but okay, because I think, again, I remember parts about them, but they don't really, like, stand out, like, I say stand out loads. They stand out very well in the quality of the season 5, but there's other episodes I'm like, I'm here for. My glasses are very annoying. Into the Woods. So, this one is basically the breakup between Riley and Buffy. Now, I think it's a good episode. I think I understand what they were trying to do. Obviously, he was essentially kind of like they were using him getting vampires to feed off him Riley as like a cheating metaphor, I think, like he crossing the line. And I do get that, and I think Buffy had every right to be very annoyed by that. And then he used her and blamed her and said, it's because you don't let me in. And it's like, well, yeah, she probably does have a wall up, and I do understand that to an extent, but then don't blame her for something you chose to do and you knew it would hurt her. Like, very, like, again, I think that, and then the Xander coming in and he's like, you've treated him like crap, and it's like, well, it's a lot of his issues are more like he doesn't know how he sits out of the relationship. He doesn't have his identity was very much wrapped up in the initiative, taking the initiative away, and he just becomes Buffy's girlfriend, Buffy's boyfriend. And I think he struggled with that, which is, I think, a thing people do struggle with in a relationship. It's all very messy and all very complicated, and I think Buffy took way too much stick for that relationship ending. I don't think it was kind of like put on her, and then obviously like this big thing happens, they have a massive argument, there's all these issues on the table, and he's like, right, I'm leaving tonight unless you give me a reason to stay. And then obviously then that's when Xander butts in, and I said in like the previous episode that I did with Amy, I think I watched a podcast that also struggled, like was talking about this particular like storyline, and they said that Xander feels like he's coming across like that because he relates to Riley, and obviously he had a crush on Buffy, so his like perspective and advice on this is probably quite a biased perspective. And I understand they were trying to give Xander the more mature, wise words aspect. I just think in this specific moment, I personally think it would have actually played better if Giles was given a like fatherly advice of like how to handle her own like relationship with that. Like, does she want to be with him? Like, I think for me, I'd have took it a lot more, because I think as well, I would have known from Giles' perspective, he would have just been out for Buffy's best interest. So I think if he had come into the scene and was like, look, you've had all this issue going on with Riley, he has been there for you, like you love him, what do you want? And then she like dramatically runs off into the distance and she wants to try and fight for it, I'd have probably thought that'd fit better. I think using Xander in this placement seems odd in this current position, because he's very heavily biased. He's always a bit judgy when it comes to Buffy's boyfriends, but the one that's like Joe Normal, army guy, he's like, oh no, you were terrible to him. And it's like, well, he did essentially like vampire cheat on Buffy, and also when she's like closing herself off and stressed, he didn't talk about these issues. He didn't go, look, just let me in. Like, he just kind of came out. So I do think, like, I think I used to root when she was running and like the music is building. I feel like very manipulated right now. I think I did used to root for it when I was a kid, but as I'm now like an adult and I've seen more judgment of what I think of that, I think it was right he left. I am going, because it's the end of Ryla, maybe we'll put it more to the top of Meppa, okay? Alright, Triangle. So, I actually think I used to skip this a bit in the day, but I think that's more because, like, what's coming up again. So I think season 5, if I'm skipping them, it's not because they're bad, I think it's just because I'm like, there's other ones I'm excited for, like, So I think this one is basically Buffy's dealing with a breakup a little bit. Xander is like in the middle between Willow and Anya, and they're like bickering constantly. They end up unleashing a troll that turns out that is connected to Anya. It was one of Anya's boyfriends that she turned into a troll, and that was what got her the job as a vengeance demon. Nice little Easter egg. I think if I'd watched it more and given it more time, I think it would have been a higher up in Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time. I think for now I'm going to put it at the end, but mainly because I just didn't watch it as much because I did skip it to get to the other stuff, but I do think it's a good episode, if that makes sense. Right, Checkpoint. So I really like Checkpoint. The Watchers Council come back. Now, last time we saw the Watchers Council or any connection to them was in season 3, but then Buffy was like, bye, bitches. And now they're coming back to give her information about Glory, but in a true Watchers Council way, they're trying to get control back over the Slayer. It doesn't work. Great stuff. But they're interviewing all her friends, like making these assessments, putting Buffy through tests that she's like deemed to be failing, and then she also, as she's going to meet the Watchers Council at the Magic Box, she bumps into these like army guys, which are a professional plot device, but we'll go with it. I think that, yeah, and she's learning that she knows what Glory wants, even though she doesn't know what Glory is, and that's powerful, and I think she's understanding her worth a little bit more. I really appreciate. Such a good yes moment when she's like, right, listen to me, this is what's going to happen, and like when the group cheer for it and stuff. So it's a nice speech. I like how she takes control of the Watchers Council and goes, look, we're going to work together, but you're going to work for me because I am the power. Great stuff. She's the main focal point, and they don't work without her, but she works without them, and she has finally learned that a lot more. So it's a good episode, and obviously at the end we have the word that will be in every previously on Buffy the Vampire Slayer is Glory isn't a demon, she's a god.
Oh.
That is my impression of Quentin. I don't think that went very well, but hey ho. Right, so a good episode. Good. And I'm gonna probably put it in great telly. I think it's definitely earned that. I might put it, I think, around here, which is, again, last time I properly saw Quentin. So, but yeah, so it's a really good episode. Checkpoint. It's checkpoint in the series. It's a checkpoint in the whole, development. It's such a good little moment. So, next episode is Blood Ties. So it's been building throughout the series, where Dawn is hearing them all whisper and talk a lot about her, because I think earlier in a couple of episodes before, Joyce had worked out that Dawn weren't fully quite hers, but knew she was important and still loves her. But this is where Dawn sneaks out, bumps into Spike, they break into the magic box, and she reads Giles's diaries and finds out that she's the key, and she's basically 6 months old, and she has a whole little bit of a breakdown over it where she cuts herself, because obviously she's it'd be a very mind-blowing thing to have to deal with. It is for a 14-15-year-old girl. I thought I was saying she was 15 earlier, so she's not quite the same age Buffy were in the first series, but they're a couple of years apart. But yeah, so she acts it really well. I can't believe that they were going to do the Dawn character as a younger character, 8, I think the character was going to be. I think that's quite a ballsy move, because with all the issues and the stuff that's coming out of it, I think it's quite nicely placed on a young teenager, because again, similar to Buffy's story of it's a troubling time, your teen years. It's a confusing one. So I think this is the episode as well where we find the big reveal of, I haven't mentioned him either earlier on, but again, he's I think he was being a fake out for a Riley point too. But Ben is a character that's been introduced a bit earlier on, and Dawn and him are chatting, and then he's freaking out, and you find out he is Glory. Ben is Glory, and Glory is Ben. Right, well, where do I put it? I think also in this as well, Willow goes all magic mental a little. Oh, doesn't go magic mental. She tries a bit of magic to make her disappear or move Glory, which I think is a nice little seeing her get a bit more confident with her power. I think around here, I think, yeah, it's just behind Bad Girls, and it's just before No Place Like Home. Crush. So, I believe this is an episode where it's kind of like developing the Spike little crush he has a bit more, and because he has a crush on Buffy, like, yeah. And he's trying to get closer to Buffy. Buffy's like, yeah, no, but nah, mate. And then we've got Dracula coming to town, which is a nice little like, again, add of lights, because I think she was trying to get Spike to go to LA to join Drusilla at Darla, and then trying to get Angel bad. I would have liked to see that happen. I know that he was too important to the Buffy like series, but that would have probably been a little bit earlier. Of like, I'd have liked to see them for all in a room, like dynamic wise, in like modern time. That would have been the point that he even went over for maybe like an episode or two, and then was like, bugger this, I'm going back. But yeah, so, and then I think he ignores his chip pain when he's like biting a human with Drusilla, and he's trying to like go for all that. But then I think he's at one point he's got Buffy tied up in the crypt, and then he's got Darla tied up as well, I think, and then he's like threatening to kill Darla to prove his love to Buffy. But then Harmony shows up and she's like, did you forget about me, your actual girlfriend? Which is such a good little like, oh yeah, we forgot about Harmony. And as we said before, Harmony's such a good like vampire addition, and I think she works so well with Spike. Because Spike is such like a hopeless romantic, he does work in a relationship, but he clearly has barely any interest in Harmony other than her just being there, and he kind of uses that. But it works really well, the dynamic. So this one, I would probably put around here. Again, it's all kind of growing up in this area. Might move that up, because I think maybe there. It's getting so hard, because then I remember bits in this episode, and I like this episode, but then I'm like, oh, but this one. God, what am I going to lie when I get to the end of this? Right, so I Was Only Made to Love You. This has basically a sex bot come to town looking for a person called Warren, who essentially made her, but she obviously is just like, I love him. She's very chirpy, very odd, and they kind of have to deal with that, and I think he just wants to ditch her and leave her. It basically, the main introduction, I think this episode is of the character Warren, who becomes a lot more important in season 6, because he's one of the trio. At the end, Spike asks for a sex bot to be made, so it's a little bit right. So I think it's Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time. I think it's better than Crush. Yeah, it's better than Crush. We are on the episode now. The body. Everyone will. It's similar in vein of Hush. It's one of the top tier like episodes of like direction, acting. It's really well produced. Is it a fun topic? Particularly not. Is it a relatable topic to people? Probably. Like, it's a very, very human thing that happens. It's not a supernatural thing. It's a very sad episode. I think, like, it has to go in Great Teller. That's a given. It's the dilemma for me is personal enjoyment wise. I love the episode the family, but the body is such a different episode to the rest of the series. Like, even like Hush and like Once More With Feeling, still very much crafted in a supernatural world where this isn't. Like, it just feels like its own thing. It also feels very wrong putting it in Best Thing Ever, because it's essentially about a very important character's death. But just to quickly summarise, just to remind everyone, but I think everyone will already know, the episode The Body is where Buffy comes home and finds Joyce dead on the sofa. Like, the episode plays out the first few hours after finding someone dead, and she has to go notify people. We see like Dawn, she has to go tell Dawn and how upsetting that were, and then it cuts to like her friends, and we have a very innocent but very relatable monologue from Anya about death. And it as I'm talking about it more, I'm like boosting this up, because the monologue with Anya just sums up, I think, what everyone even though we all know about death, everyone will have thought that at a time. I think it's very relatable. I think might have to put it there, I think. Because this isn't like, if I was just clinically looking at it from like how good of an episode, like yeah, Hush and The Body would be like up to the top of this tier of that. My own personal enjoyment, my own ranking, it's up there, but I don't want to necessarily put it right at the top. I think these are very much the show of Buffy. This is just such a good one-off episode exploring a very human topic forever. So this is like a part 2 to The Body, but again, what I was saying about how the others were very much built in a supernatural world, this kind of gets back to form a little bit. It's dealing with the aftermath of Joyce dying and Buffy taking on that responsibility, planning her funeral, taking care of Dawn, and then Dawn is dealing with like losing her mom, and she's obviously already gone through a lot this year so far anyway, but she then she decides that she wants to try and bring her back. So she finds Willow kind of pulls a book out magically and like leaves it there for her to like find, and it's all about her trying to get all this stuff together to bring Joyce back. Again, I think Spike helps her. We see an introduction of a very creepy character, and then when she's doing the spell to bring her back, Buffy comes back in. They're having like a big argument over it, dealing with their issues and how they're feeling, and you really see Buffy break down and kind of crumble under the pressure at the moment. Like, she obviously steps up and rises to it, but she's kind of saying that she's trying to just be the strong mom figure and like who's going to take care of them and all this stuff. And then there's a knock at the door as this like Joyce-esque figure's meant to come back, and then Buffy's like, Mommy, what she said when she found Joyce, and then she runs to the door, so like she's already like, actually, do you know what, given the choice, I want her back. Like, strong hero Buffy wants her mom. And then that's when Dawn rips the like picture up, and then as Buffy opens the door, there's no one there, and then it just ends on them two hugging and crying. It's very emotional. It's not as good as The Body, obviously. Like, The Body, as I've just said, is a whole separate thing. I'm gonna really U-turn here. I'm putting that there, and then I'm moving this down to around here. Yeah. big U-turn, but hey ho. Tweaking and changing as we go. My opinions might change a little bit, but you know. The next episode is Intervention. So Buffy is afraid that she is turning to stone. She can't love, and like the Slayer role is just making her hard on the inside, and she wants to learn more about it. So Giles says, we'll go on a quest and we'll get you more information. Basically, you'll learn more about your role. As she's away with Giles doing the hokey cokey, I don't mean that's like a weird innuendo. That's literally what he's doing. That's the joke. Spike's Buffy bot is ready, and they're going about their thing, doing the Spike and Buffy bot kind of way. It is funny and it is amusing, and Sarah Michelle Gellar is really great as the Buffy bot, but it is a weird concept. Obviously, it's like using her image without her consent. It's feeling very AI kind of vibes. Yeah. Anyway, so then the gang see them canoodling and freak out, and they're like, "Oh my god, she needs we need to sit her down and ask what the hell she's doing," kind of vibe. Side plot to that, or main plot, which there's a lot of plots going on here. So there's like a nice little random one-off episode, but they've actually entwined the main story into it. So Glory wants to get closer to finding out who the key is. So she sends her minions to find who is very important to Buffy, who she's like extra protecting, but they see the Buffy bot protecting Spike. So her minions take Spike. So the Buffy bot's like, we have to get him back. So the gang and Buffy bot go back to the house to get weapons, and that's when Buffy shows up and immediately goes, "That's a sex bot. How could you not tell me apart from the sex bot? It's the exact same as Warren's." And like mannerisms, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And then like Buffy bot's like, "Well, we need to go help Spike. We need to go get Spike." And Glory's already worked out he's a vampire, so she's like, "You brought me a vampire. This is not the key." But she is torturing him to try and find out who the key is. The gang show up, like help save the day. I think Spike uses his like brain and wit to get out of the Glories, because he basically pees her off so much that she hits him so hard into the lift. And that's when he's like, should they like go get him back? And then they end up all getting away anyway, and basically he's all beaten up at his crypt, and the Buffy bot. The Buffy bot comes in and is like, oh my god, well, if Glory wants to find out the keys, I'll just go tell her. And that's when Spike's like, no, you can't tell her, you have to protect him. And then the Buffy bot leans in for a kiss, and then at that moment you realise it's not the Buffy bot, it is Buffy, and she is essentially like, she wanted to check, but that moment, that kiss was a genuine moment of gratitude that she was thankful for. And as she's leaving, she's like, the bot was absurd and stupid, it's melted down and gone. A lie, but you know, it's gone. And then she said, what you did in there, that was real, I won't forget it. And then she leaves, and you're just like, oh, that last little end scene is such a good scene. It's gonna go in Great Teller because like the episode overall is good. It's good humor, it's good fun. It's just God, they all end up next to each other. I think Full for Love is better, but this is definitely better than the Harsh Light of Day. It's a good episode, and I love that moment at the end between Buffy and Spike. So like good little bits of chemistry coming through. Tough love. Mainly, I think Glory in this one is getting a bit more like, right, we need to figure this out. We're being a bit slack here. We're running out of time. So they go to find out who's like new in Buffy's life, and they find out Tara's quite new to the group. Anyway, so she's going to like, oh, and then Willow and Tara have like an argument about magic and stuff. So Tara's gone to this fair on her own without Willow, and then as they realise Glory's going to go after Tara, Willow's like going through the crowd and she can't get to her in time, and then you see the brain sucky thing and she makes her crazy because obviously she's worked out she's not the key, but she's like, well, just gotta work all through you all and I'll figure it out. And then the second half of the episode is where Willow goes to Glory's and then basically tries to beat her down, and she does an okay-ish job at it. You can see that power definitely growing. The dealing with power in her Jurassic pain, again coming through. It's making her more powerful. And I think that's the first time she actually uses dark magic, which obviously is quite the turning point and a build-up for the next season to come. But again, that theme of her using magic on her problems. Granted, it's lovely, Tara, and I do partly understand why. Obviously, with the consequences that come down in the next series with her use of magic, I am a bit like, maybe, maybe you don't. But yeah, this episode is good. I also believe, yeah, by the looks of that one, towards the end of it, they're hiding out at Tara and Willow's, and Glory basically essentially rips the side of the building off. And because she's turned Tara mental, the little like Glory mentalness, throughout the series, the mental people have actually been able to spot Dawn as the key. So Tara lets it slip and goes, bright green glowing energy at Dawn, and then that moment Glory knows, and then it cuts. Probably going up to the top of Don't Frame Me with a Good Time, because it's obviously about to set up like the climax of the series. It's getting there. It's yeah. The next episode, Spiral. So the gang decide to go on the run away, because they do manage to get away from Glory in that instance. Like Buffy outruns her somehow, and then a truck hits her. It's all a little bit cartoon and convoluted, but we'll go with it. I will judge past it because I do know obviously the bloody army guys are coming in a second. But they get an RV, very Breaking Bad kind of style, and they're on the road trying to get away from her. There is a sword fight again with these army guys that decide to attack. I don't fully know the purpose of these army guys. I have loved Buffy for many years. I have a lot of books on it. I have a lot of things, and I'm not quite sure the point of them. They're there. They're kind of just there. I'm here or there of it. They're just there. And yeah, I think they end up at an abandoned gas station, and Giles gets hurt, so they call Ben, because they don't know Ben is Glory and Glory is Ben. So Ben comes to help him, which I think is just a dumb part. Ben's like, I feel like they should have really delved into Ben's character a bit more. And I know they did it to an extent, but he's meant to be good, his motivations, and I don't understand why he would go and help, really, knowing... Like, in theory, wouldn't he know that they know who the key is and all this stuff? And, like, I know he's not. He's kind of, like, being corrupted by Glory a little bit. And why go? Anyway, goes to help him and then ends up turning into Glory. Surprise, surprise. And obviously she's in there. She grabs, like, Dawn runs out, and Buffy like steps out, sees all the army that were outside the gas station completely dead on the ground, all of them, like thousands of them, and Buffy just drops to the ground. And at the end of that episode, she starts spiraling. It's an emotion I felt. I don't know if it's an emotion, but it's a feeling I have felt. That spiraling feeling, and I am not quite in them circumstances, like, but yeah, it is relatable and it's very good. I think I'm gonna have to put that up to the top of there. I think the army men. I'll put it there. It's getting there, but it's not like quite at the top. The weight of the world. They go back to the magic shop. They're trying to. Buffy is catatonic, I think the term is. She's like in her own head. She is not coming out anytime soon. So Willow starts taking control, which we can see in previous times before, which is nice to see like Willow as a person, not Magic Willow. She's just like, right, I'm gonna take control of the situation. She like splits them all out to kind of like have a look. So they all start the magic around Ben is glowing, Ben is fading, so they actually start figuring out later in the episode, but Spike is kind of trying to say, are you all stoned? Why don't you remember this? And then he explains for the audience why they don't. Not like specifically for the audience, you don't break that fourth wall at all, but you know what I mean, like it's quite a good explanation of like, yeah, there must be magic around it to make people forget. And he and Xander go to Glory's and Ben's to figure out if they're still there. They're gone. They're all kind of going for that, and I think the main bits for me is the going through Buffy's head. I really like this, like you were going into the mind of the hero right before the big battle, and like everything they're going through, like that thought of, do I stop, do I not go, the guilt of feeling like she killed her sister, like dealing with her mom's death and all this stuff. I think it's really good and strong, and I appreciate Willow being the character that goes in there to find out. So yeah, I will put this into probably Great Telly, around here, yeah, actually. Just after Bang Candy in Great Telly, I think it is a good like episode. It's like the calm before the storm as well, which I think it was just a really good way to kind of like, before the build up, it's building suspense this entire episode. The next and final episode of season 5. And as some people think, maybe it should have been the end of the series completely. And I do get everyone's point with that, because I love the character so much, and I think season 6 and 7 are good. They are good seasons. I like them seasons, so I like to include them, but I understand why people get to the gift and go, that's where they end, that's what's done for them. This brings everything together. So like, Buffy's awoken from a catatonic state, she's back in control a little bit more, she's raring to go. They're setting up like strategies and ways to fight Glory. Like there's the jokes about the hammer being too heavy and then she picks it up. Obviously like Spike says that it's always got to be blood, little monologue, which I think's a good little like link to like the innocent, like giving up. Like we're basically wanting to save Buffy's innocence. We're wanting to save Dawn, and like when Buffy's like, the monks made her out of me, and she's important to Buffy. She's like, she can't just. But if she chose to let Dawn die, it's essentially killing a part of herself, and Buffy doesn't want that to happen. Basically, it's even the throwback of the beginning where like they do the previously on and they speed through all the series leading up to Buffy in the alley fighting a vampire, and that vampire's like, "Who are you?" And she's like, "Oh my god, do you not know?" Like, it's such a good little throwback. It feels really bizarre. I remember watching, I'm like, not bizarre because it's natural for Buffy to be like that and in an alleyway fighting a vampire, but we've been so far removed from that part of the show that it's like a nice little throwback. It's like reminding us why we're here. She's a vampire slayer. And then like the talk around the table where they're all like deciding what bits to do, the little fight between Giles where it's like, we bloody well are. Like, it's putting all the cards on the table, it's building them stakes, it's getting there. And then obviously Buffy and Spike go to her house to pick up more weapons. That scene of where like, she's like, I'm counting on you. If I can't save her, you need to protect her, kind of thing. And it's like, to the end of the world, even if that happens to be tonight. And obviously like Xander proposing to Anya, which is like, you're proposing because we're gonna die, and she's like, give it to me when the world doesn't end. I love that scene, and that's probably one of the biggest complaints I have of season 6 is the fact they didn't end up getting married. I get people have insecurities, and I get there was no relationship is perfect, But that scene now feels so... because they don't actually end up getting married. Like, if the show was ending, you can just in your head pretend, like, in your head I've written they had a happy ending, but the show undoes that a little bit, and I am a bit... There's a lot of things in season 6 that I'm like, okay, like, I enjoy season 6, but there are some decisions I really wish they went the other way, and that, I would have liked one happy thing in that. But anyway, sorry, digressing onto season 6. So, oh God, there's so much in this episode. And then obviously, so this is the big build-up. They're going now to the war zone where there's big tower things being built by the crazy people. They go for it. They start like throwing everything at Glory to beat her, and I like it. You can tell like the creativity of like they're going to use the Buffy bot to trick her initially. Then Buffy's going to come in and start hitting her with that hammer. And then like she's like, "Is that all you've got?" And then they usably wrecking ball, and then like Xander's like, I don't know, can't remember what he says specifically, but like Builder comes in with a win or whatever, you know, like that kind of vibe. And they're all a part of it. Like Willow uses a bit of magic to drain, reverse Tara back, which I'm really glad they did, and they didn't just leave Tara. Like, I appreciate the Tara getting hurt in the big dynamic of the story, because again it ups the stakes, but then I appreciate they did work a way to get her back. But yeah, so there's so many. It's such parts full. Obviously, like she beats on Glory, like that's a whole build up, and then to the point where it's Ben again, and she can't kill Ben. She knows if she kills him, it kills Glory. That's his weakness. But she can't do it. She can't kill a human life because she is a hero. But then I like how Giles does. It sounds really blunt, that. I like how it's like Ripper comes out a little bit. Like he's got a tiny bit of darkness in there. He ain't the perfect father figure, is like who wouldn't do anything wrong. He knows it's wrong to kill somebody, but he also, to his point earlier, what was established, he would have potentially let Dawn die to save the world, whereas he knows like one life, he will sacrifice one life for the better good, and that's what he does by killing Ben. It all ends up like Spike, so the weird little demon that was in Forever episode, he comes back. He instigates the ritual with Dawn. Spike comes up the stairs, and then the guy like stabs him and throws him back off again. And, like, he tried. I do think, I'm not gonna lie, like Spike could have took him on. I don't know why. Like, is he afraid of heights? Is that why he hesitated? Like, I feel like they need to put a bit more menacingness in that to make me believe that Spike could just get thrown off. Like, he's a vampire. This is like a weird little demon thing. But then Buffy ends up going up to the top, and then as Buffy, like, Dawn's about to run off the end because she knows her blood will stop. When her blood stops, it'll stop the ritual, and then that's when it like clicks for Buffy, and all these like flashbacks from the series, like the season, is built up to where she understands like if she sacrifices herself to save Dawn, it will also save the world. Like in her head, a new slave will be called, the world will crack on, and then Buffy will have physically sacrificed herself to, as she did in the first season, she is willing to basically sacrifice herself to save her friends and everyone she loves, and she does, and it ends with Buffy dying. The last frame is literally Buffy's tombstone, and for a very long time that was all I saw her up to. I actually didn't see season 6 and 7 until I was a few years older, until I was like 14, 15. Watched it all out of order, probably triggering to most people, but you watched what you had at the time, and I had a few seasons of that. On the biggest digressing in the world, I have The Gift to place. The Gift. I am going to put that. After all that, there was so much to unpack on the episode, and it's funny because I feel like this show kind of gives you two endings. So where most shows disappoint with the conclusion, because Buffy has two different endings, just kind of pick which one you like the most. And I do think it's gonna have, yeah, it's gone to the very top of it, best thing ever. Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, it was my opinion. Right, so obviously in the last episode, we had a big debate, me and my friend Amy, over Beer Bad. I'm going to place this in the tier that I would have probably placed it, which is down here, and I'll put it there, because one, I think she'd be absolutely mortified if I put it behind Dead Man's Party. This one I physically really struggle to watch. That one annoys me. This one, to a point, there is moments in it that will make me laugh, but it's just not a very good written episode at all, and there isn't much point to it in the actual supernatural storyline. I do like Willow's bit with Parker, because we do not like Parker. No, I didn't mention that in this, but we don't like Parker. And I like Willow giving him a and then Killed by Death because it scared me. So yes, Amy's Lovable Crap may have now removed, but this is the tier list as it stands. So we have 2 more seasons to go, and I probably will try and record and film them in the next couple of months, month or so, to get them up, just to see where the show ends up with it all. There's some good episodes coming up. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. I'm planning to do more content around different shows I really enjoy. There's some Grey's Anatomy ideas that I have in mind, potential more tier lists coming, because I am a fan of a tier list. They're quite entertaining. It's a good way of breaking it all down and discussing the show. But yeah, please just support the channel if you're enjoying my little rambles. But anyway, see you in the next one. Bye.